Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Database Design and Programming with SQL. I hope I'm audible. Uh, Thursday is one of those days I always look forward to so that I can engage with you. It's actually one of my favorite day of the week. My name is Zablon, and with me, I have my colleague and the database lead module, Mr. Gerald Macherichedze, all the way from Josie. Gerald, are you there? Maybe you can unmute and say hi.
Good morning, Zablon, and to the rest of our learners. Thank you so much for making the time to join us. Remember, today is a very spectacular day, and we are all here to learn. So let's have fun. Get those computers fired up because we're about to learn quite a lot. Back to you, Zabla.
All right. Thank you so much, Gerald. Good morning to everyone. I can see so many people have joined us. I can see Damilola. Hi, Dami. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Judy. Thank you. Meanwhile, we can continue to interact in the chats. Yeah, so today we got so much planned for you. Uh, Allow me to share my presentation so that I can start. Right. Believe it's now visible on your end. All right, there. Okay, so today at the core of this lesson, you're going to learn how to do the following. Number one, you're going to practice um, you're going to practice creating user account and assigning appropriate roles and privileges to ensure secure access within a database. You're also going to explore how to manage access permission and ensure what you call proper authentication and authorization for secure data handling. Also, we're going to add indexes to database table and analyze the impact of indexing on query execution and overall database performance. So before I even introduce today's topic, I want to share a small architecture that I've just drawn quickly. Okay, I believe it's visible in your end, right? Okay, there. So now, I believe everyone has a smartphone, right? So picture this, okay? You have a phone book, and that phone book on your book, okay, not on your book, on your phone, right? Maybe you want to search maybe your friend's contact. Maybe our friend here, we can call them John, right? So you want to locate John, the contact of John, so that you can contact them, maybe to give you maybe a plan for the weekend, what they're planning for the weekend. Maybe you just want to catch up with them, find out how they've been. You haven't maybe talked with them since the year began, right? So you contacted John. Okay, you look for John in your phone book. Where is your phone book? In your phone, right? Now, you try to locate John. So once you get John, what are you going to do? You call John, right? So this data, we all assume that the phone book is arranged what you call alphabetically, such that when you try to search for John, you easily get John. But an instance where, for example, where the names are not alphabetically sorted, you need to go through the pages. Let's say you have maybe 1,000 contact, right? So you need to go on each page until you locate John, right? So that kind of search is what we call sequential searching. And the database has a way of improving the way you can perform such kind of searches, such that the query performance is improved. And with that, introduces us to today's concept of what we call indexing. So what exactly is an index? Is it So an index is or an indexing a special lookup table that the database search engine can use to speed up data retrieval. Okay, so we say indexes are used to retrieve data from a database more quickly. Indexes uses what we call a B tree data structure to speed up or improve the speed of data retrieval on a table, though at the cost of storage and at the cost of storage and maintenance. When you create a table, I believe everyone has practiced on how to create a table, right? We usually add what you call a primary key. This, what MySQL does in the backend is it uses that key as the key that maintains the sorting order of the entire table. In database, we call that clustered index. Okay, why? Because we use it to enforce the order of rows in a table. Later on, we're going to practice writing and creating an index on a table that I'll show you how to create and then see how queries can be improved. Then we have what we call user management. So with user management is one of the most important responsibility of anyone hoping to manage MySQL database system. It is usually a good practice to use the root account for administrative function exclusively. Okay, for other tasks, create a new user account and grant the necessary privilege. So before I even touch on the user management, let me understand from you guys, or you can just comment in the chat, what is the difference between authentication and authorization? What do you understand by the term authentication and authorization? You can just comment in the chats. I'll read your comments in the chats. Lucy says to verify user. Gladys, I see you. Doreen, authentication is sequential, while authorization is once. Hey, that one is a technical one. Tony, Dennis, authentication is making. Okay, I'm trying to catch up. You guys are texting fast. Have you guys ever wondered why we use the root user? Anyone who knows why we use the root user? Every time I'm telling you, use the root. No one has ever asked me, why do we use the root? Why not call the user Damilola? Or why not call the user Catherine or Gladys? Why always root? Who has an answer? Yeah, why always root? So I'll give you a simple definition. If you have a notebook, just write. Okay. So in SQL, when users can sign into MySQL server, is authentication. When the root gives users privilege to sign, gives access to other users, okay, to sign into MySQL server is what we call authentication. Okay, when the root user gives access, when the root user gives access to other users to sign in. I'm breaking. Gerard, am I breaking?
Not at all, Zablon. You're clear on my end.
All right. Okay, I've said authentication is when the root user gives access to other users to sign into MySQL server. Okay, authentication is when the root user gives access to other users to sign into MySQL server. Now let's go to authorization. 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 Authorization is when the root user gives access to other gives access to objects within a database to other users. Okay. When the root user gives access to database objects to other users. All right, so let's come back to our slides. Every time you want to access MySQL Server, you must specify the user to be used during authentication. I know most of you have always wanted to sign in with their name, like MySQL -u, Damilola, then -p, you write your password, right? Yeah, so today I'm going to show you how you can do that. Okay, maybe you can stop using the root, or you can use any other user that you might want to create. Now, but before we even touch on the commands that we use, let's learn on what we call privilege. So we have three kinds of privilege. Okay, these are the main ones. Okay, there are other ones like column, proxy, but these are the main ones. These are the only ones that will be tested. Okay, so we have global, database, and table privilege. So when I say global privilege is when the root user gives access to another user to access all objects within that MySQL server. Okay. Okay. So I've said global privilege is when the root user gives access to another user to access all the database within the SQL server. I believe we've all seen when Gerard shares his screen, he has a lot of databases. I saw school, I saw another one written PLP, there's one written Coffee House, Java. I mean, there's so many. So if Gerard was to create another user, he'll have to assign, if Gerard wants that user to access, to have an access to all those databases, he'll have to assign what we call global privilege. And then we have number two, what you call database privilege. What do I mean by database privilege? You want to give access to only one specific database. We've been using the CS database, okay? So for example, I'll create a user, let's call the user Gladys. And then I want Gladys to only have access, okay? To only have access to the sales database. I'll assign Gladys what we call database privilege. Are we good on that? You can just react with a thumbs up if you agree with that, or if I should repeat. Okay, I'll repeat. Global privilege is when you give access to all the database within MySQL server. When you give someone else, your friend, your dad, anyone, your sibling, you give them access to all the database. Give access to someone else to access your computer, even in the admin site. And then they can do anything. They can install new software. They can install any software. They can delete some of your videos, pictures. They can do anything. Now, with database privilege is when you just give them partial access. They only have access to one thing. And then number three, we have what you call table privilege. So with table privilege is when you give them access to only one particular table. I know we all have the sales DB, right? So inside the cells, it has a lot of tables. It has orders, order detail, payments, customers, offices, right? So you create a user and then you give them access to only the office table, only one particular table. They'll only have access to one table, or you can give them multiple tables, maybe three, maybe two. Only one table. Okay, that's all about privilege. Let's learn what you call roles. All right. So before I even touch on roles, let's come here a little bit. Yeah, it's visible, right? All right. So imagine this. You've been hired there. So you've been hired, okay? I believe we've all seen the train booking database that we all contributed. Okay, majority of us contributed in that. I don't know how many of you have tried to see if the database is working. All right, we'll find out that soon. Now, the train booking, maybe I hire you today because right now I know you have the basics of creating an application. So I hire you to create for me an application that users will be using to purchase tickets when they want to travel with the train, maybe from point A to point B, right? So I hire you to develop for me an application that users will access and then purchase what you call ticket from the train booking. Then the train booking DB will store all the records. So you as a developer, now that you have the entire database, you will have to create some certain role. Okay. So the roles will be there's role for devs. Devs will have access to the entire database, and then the admin. The admin is like your sys admin. You see, when you're hired, usually sent to the sys admin to be allowed to the company's database, right? Now the admin can give them maybe read and write permission, but the devs will have complete permission to this, what you call the train booking, right? And also the clients you can just give them the read access. And then this is what you call roles. And then we send them what you call permission. Okay. Now, with that, let me try to explain the roles. So roles, when managing access and granting privilege to individual users, can be very time consuming and cumbersome. That is why MySQL provides the ability to create roles. Roles are granted privilege, then roles are assigned to users. The users inherit privilege of roles. Right now, I can see so many of us here, right? For example, I can divide you such that some people will be devs, others will be client, others will be admin. Instead of assigning roles to each one, okay, individually, because it will be tiring. To you, maybe to your friend, to the other person, I'll just create what you call role and then assign you a role. All right. I believe that is clear. We can just react to the thumbs up if that is clear. Yeah, we'll come to the practical. All right, cool. Now, let's learn what you call the grant statements. So to assign privilege, we use what you call a grant statement, okay? You use the grant statement to assign one or more privilege to user account. I've created a new user and I want this user to only have access to this database, what you call the sales database. Which command will I use? We'll use what you call the grant statement. Okay. So if I create like 100 users, okay, I have 100 users. Okay. And then these users, I want to give them roles. This one will be the receptionist. This one will be the admin. This one will be maybe a technical support. And then this one will be the front-end engineer, the back-end engineer, the DevOps, cloud engineer. Okay, I can use the grant statement. We can use the grant statement to assign one or more privilege to user account. Now, what if you want to remove the privilege that you've just assigned to the user? We'll use what we call the revoke statement. Oh, my slides are going way too fast. Okay. Okay, I don't know how to share that. Oh, there. So with the revoke statement revokes one or more privilege from a user account. These commands are just direct. With revoke, you're just removing the permission that you just gave to the user. So let's watch this. Maybe I believe it's the audio. You can hear the audio.
Okay, you're good to go.
All right. So with that, I mean, what will have happened if Peter was black? I don't know. You can tell me. Okay, you want me to replay? Okay.
Okay, you're good to go.
All right. Yeah. So that is all about the revoke statement. So revoke is just removing permission. Okay. Yeah. And now, this week meme is I know after this, you guys are gonna be hired as interns, others are gonna be hired as junior developers. So what will happen when you delete all from users and realize it's the production database of your local uh database? You guys, that day you'll sweat, eh? Please, whatever you do, just start by creating roles. Okay? Yeah, you just start by creating roles and then you assign roles to specific people. Not everyone has the permission to delete a certain table or certain records. Just assign them roles. Believe we've all agreed. Now, I just need one person to read for us so that we can go to hands-on and then write all the commands now. Just one person, a lady and a gent. Maureen. Hi, Maureen. Maureen Wangoi.
Hi,
How are you? You
I'm
good?
fine. I'm good.
Amazing. Read for us the checkpoint question, and
Okay.
then you guys can just respond in the chats.
Name three types of privileges levels supported by MySQL.
Yeah, so what are the three types of privilege levels supported by MySQL? Thank you, Humphrey, Masinde, Masi, good, Katso, Lillian, Naomi, Jacqueline. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you to everyone who's responding. Yeah, read the next one.
What is the purpose of the drop user cursor in SQL?
Okay, yeah. What is the purpose of the drop user clause in SQL? I know I haven't taught you what the drop user does, but just by thinking, what does drop user do? Yeah, deletes a user. Yeah, very nice, Victor, Hillary, impressive. Emmanuel, that's good. Shekina, Mary, impressive. Go to the next one, number 3.
What is the importance of the grant command in SQL?
What's the importance of the grant command in SQL? Gives access. Evelyn, impressive. Isaac, nice. Myra, impressive. Victor, thank you so much. Zakaria, Wanda, Hillary, Sylvia Waweru, Shadrach, nice one. Ivan Omanga, Derek, thank you so much, guys. The final one?
What is the importance of having an index in your database?
Yes. Now, what is the importance of having an index in your database? Let me see. To speed up data retrieval, Shekina, impressive. Faster retrieval, Milton, Olive, Lillian, Sumaya, Zakaria. Wow, impressive. I see you guys have already understood today's concept. So it will be easy when you go to writing the commands, right? Yeah, I just wanted to make the theory part short, and then we spend a lot of time writing the commands. All right, now I need a gent to read for us the key takeaways. Okay, where are the gents now? Okay, let's go with Stanley. Stano. Yes, Stanley. Hi,
Hi, Zablon, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Okay.
Key
Read for us.
takeaways. Key
Mm.
takeaways. Number one, use the create user statement to create a new user in the MySQL database server. Number two,
Mm-hmm.
use the create
Yeah, go on.
index statement to create a new index for a table. Number three, a database index enhances retrieval speed, but comes with the cost of increased writing overhead. Then the last one, number four, use the grant statement to grant privileges to a role.
Impressive. Thank you so much, Stano. All right. So yeah, I can now stop sharing my presentation slide. Then I'm gonna open my SQL Workbench. Yeah, okay, where this? So I believe we all have our SQL Workbench ready. So I'm gonna click mine to open. There is mine. How do you sign in? Just click local connection. And then you see the user here is root, right? Now, that's my password. Then I sign in. Then once I sign in, I'll be directed to a new working area. Alternatively, you can also use the terminal. You don't have to use the SQL Workbench. Okay, so if you're not able to match up, maybe you can note the commands I'm writing, I'll be writing, and then you can write them, note them in your notebook. But if you'll be able to, okay, I know you'll not be able to shift between screen and then back. So what I'll recommend is just write the commands, okay? Write the commands and then, or you can use the terminal, maybe minimize the terminal and then write whatever I'll write. But if you're not able to sign into the terminal, just write down the commands. All right. So I believe we all have the sales DB, right? So let me just see the tables that I have, right? You can just react to the thumbs up. So yeah, so this is our table, right? So let me zoom in. Okay, let's start with the employees table. We have the employees table. So I'll write a command. I'll turn on my caps lock, select. Okay, it's not writing. Select the first name, last name, also job title, from, employees, where, okay, the job title, equal to the sales rep. Believe it's visible, just note down. If you're not able to write the commands, please just write down. I believe it will be easy to write in your notebook rather than switching screens back and forth. So here first, I'll tell the server which database am I using, okay? So use sales DB. right? Now, we want to retrieve. Guys, I want you to note something. Please note how I'm writing my comments. Do you notice the space between the two hyphens or the two minus? This space, there's some space between the symbol and the words. Please don't write your comments like this. This is wrong, okay? I think I've asked quite a number of you to repeat your assignment. Reason being, when I'm going through your assignment, I saw you wrote your assignment like this. Others were writing like this. This is very wrong. I never said we write our comments like this. This is wrong. We don't use a hash sign in SQL. This is Python and Python, okay? I know those who have been using the hash sign is either you're using the ChatGPT. I'm not saying ChatGPT is bad, but when you're copying things from ChatGPT, please be aware of what you're copying. Just that, be aware of what you're copying. Now, and to write comments that go beyond one line, just use what? That, right? Now, this is what you call multiple line comments, and then this is just one line comment. Please note the space between the words and the two minuses or hyphen. That is clear. Now, to retrieve employees whose, I need someone to mute. Whose job title is sales rep. That one. Now, if I execute this, okay, we'll see what will happen. Now, remember I said, when you execute from the top, the server will start reading from here, then we'll skip this. Reason being, this will be interpreted as comments, and then it'll come to this and then execute. So what will happen if I execute? How do we execute? 1, 2, 3. Click. You get all these employees who are sales rep, right? Their first name, last name, sales rep, their job title, I mean. So where am I getting all this data? The data is here in the employees table. Let me minimize this. Before I even come to that, I want to write another thing here. So we use this tool to explain what happens in the background, just as the word goes, explain, then space. If I execute, okay, before the server return for us a result, we'll first explain to us what is likely to happen. So if I execute, just note, so we get this, the ID, select type, table, partition, null, type, ref, possible keys, job title, key, that, key, length, 202, ref, that, number of rows, 17, filtered, 100%, extra, that. So our main focus is here. The number of rows is 17, right? So filtered, 100%. So rows and filtered. We got rows that match employees with the job title sales rep to be 17. There are 17 employees in this table with this job title. And then what this data means that when I executed this, or once I execute this, the server will have to scan the entire table, okay, to return for me an output. So how can we then use indexes to improve the performance? So there's some, okay, let's see that one. No, it's not showing. Yeah, so I wanted to click that so that you can see. So this is what happened. So the query course is that 17 rows got checked, and then this is what happened in the background. So it started by scanning the entire table and then the query block. So 17 rows got scanned. Now, just pay attention to the query cost is 2.27. Now, let's create. So how do you get this? To get this, do you see this magnifying glass? Or how is it called? This magnifying glass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count the icons at the top until you get to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now stop at 5, where you have a magnifying glass, a thunder sign and a magnifying glass at the top. Now that's the one you click, and then you'll see something like this, the one that I'm looking at. That is, if you're writing the commands that I'm writing. But if you're noting down, just note, count the icons at the top, 5. Now, let's create, I'll just comment this, I'll highlight and then control /. Now, create index. Create index. Okay, and then the name of the index, I'll just call it job title. That way. On the table name, employees. Okay, and then on the employees, which column do I want to index? So I can index the first name or the job title. Let's index the job title. Like that. And then add that. Is it visible in your end? So we use, let me just go to the next line. I believe it's visible now, right? Now create job title index. So create index job title on employees that, and then I've terminated my commands with a semicolon. If I execute, what will happen? I get a green check, and then, okay, create index job title on that, duplicate key name, job title. So we get this error, okay? The error is key name. Let me check first if I created this index before, indexes. Okay, no. Why is it rejecting? It's supposed to be job title. Yeah, the column name that way. So if I try it again, okay, let me change the name. Refresh. Is it there? No. Okay, I don't know why that one is rejecting. The name of the table, let me just check. It's correct. Okay, let me try an index on a different column. We see if it will accept. So first name. I'll just give it another X, and then on employees, first name. Okay, yeah, that one accepted. Okay, I'll try to figure out why the job title is not accepting. Meanwhile, let's use the first name, okay, to see how the query is being going to be improved. Now, let's uncomment this. We retrieve again. So first, before I even do that, I'll explain. Okay, I'll just go to a new working area for simplicity. Use and then paste that. So let's execute. Right now, okay, there it is. And then if I execute now, do we have the index? Oh, there. Oh, I was opening the wrong table. Employees, we have primary reports to GBX title. Oh, so it was there. I can see it's here, job title. And then we have that and the one that you just created, the first name. Where do you get these indexes? So go to the table. I was opening the wrong table, the offices. It's the employees and then the indexes, this primary. Remember, I talked about primary when we were starting. I said this is the clustered index. This is the one that is used to sort the order of rows. And then these are the ones that I had created before. We have IDX, email, we have office code, reports to, just leave the other ones alone. And then we have the job title. I don't know how it's, maybe I'd created it before. And then we have the first name, right? Now, if I try to, where is that one? Select, execute, and then click the magnifying glass. Let's see if the query has improved. Okay, 2.27, not yet. Okay, I'll change, allow me to change to a different table. I think this table, because it has other indexes, I think that's why the query cost is not changing. I think this is the best query cost to get out of this. Let me go to one that doesn't have indexes so that you see how the query is being power. This one has, or alternatively, I can just drop. Okay. How do you delete an index? To delete an index, write this, drop. Let me open a new working area. So write this to delete an index. Use drop index. We can start with job title on employees. Like that, and then execute. Do you get a green check there? So I'll delete the other one too. IDX email. Keep that one too. JBX. I want to delete all of them. I want to make sure you guys understand how the query is being improved. IDX email. And then the other one is reports too. So I believe when I shared the data, it had already indexes. So we can just delete and then we start again of this code. Okay. Oh, there's a foreign constraint. Okay, so we can just leave that on. Now, let's practice on creating again. Come back to this other one. Execute. Let's see. Let's understand that one. Yes. Do you guys now see? Yeah, this is what I wanted you to see. I don't know why I wasn't paying attention to the table. When it was green, it meant that it already had indexes. So as you can see here, full table scan, right? 23 rows are being scanned. And then the query cost is 2.55. Are we all on the same page? Okay, I'll repeat. The reason why we were not getting any query performance improve is because initially when I was maybe practicing, I'd already created some indexes. That's why you're seeing it here, it was green initially instead of maybe red. So what's happening is when I try to retrieve this first name, last name, job title from the table employees, where the job title is sales rep, this table has around 23 rows. Okay, the entire of this table, 23 rows. Okay, we can even confirm, select all. I'll just count. Let's see how many rows, 23. Okay, believe we can all see. So 23 rows is what we have in this table. Now, when I execute this, select for me the first name, the last name, and the job title from employees table, where the job title is sales rep. Maybe expect only 7 sales rep. But my query ends up scanning the entire table where we have 23 rows. Imagine a scenario where you have 1,000 rows. That means the server will have to scan the entire table with 1,000 records, right? Then to get return for you a result. Now, instead of all this, we can do what we call indexes, or we can create indexes to improve the query performance. Do we all agree? You can just react a thumbs up if you agree, or if you've understood. I'll just repeat again with so many indexes. I'll repeat with creating indexes. Now, if you create an index, let's go to where we had created an index. Here it is, right? So I can just repeat because now the commands are the same. So if I execute this, execute, there we have the create index, that, and then if I refresh, we see the first name, right? Now, if I try again to fetch, what will happen? Let's fetch there, and then if I open that, okay, it has not done anything. Let me create one on job title. The first name has not changed anything. Where is that one to create there? Also, I'll call it ID tags, job title, and then here I'll say job title. So we can create that. There we have it. So we get a green check. So I've confirmed here it is. So remember I'd said the data structure is what? B-tree. So as you can see here, it's written B-tree, right? Now, if I try to retrieve again, and then if I click on that, we get what? Green check. And there it is. So only it dropped down to 17 rows instead of 23 rows. Now, what changed? The query cost changed from 2.55 to 2.27. Have you all understood on the concept of indexing? Stella says, no. Okay. So what is index? I said index is, an index helps you to do what? Maybe you can start by defining that. What is an index? Okay, I'll drop this index and then we start again. So allow me to drop the index. To delete an index, you just write drop index, or alternatively, instead of using the same table, let's go to a different table. Which other table? Let me see. I want one that doesn't have indexes so that you don't get confused. That one has an index. Okay, account doesn't have. Okay, this one has only 4 rows. No, that one you won't understand. Let me see. Okay, yeah, let's do it this one. Okay, 7 rows. What I'm looking for is a table that has over at least 10 rows so that you see how the query cost is being improved. Okay, let's go with products. Product lines, index of. So first things first, sometimes you might not know which column exists in a given table. So normally I usually start by writing that this describe, okay, use sales DB, right? And then, for example, instead of having to click all table and then see the number of columns that it has or the number of records, you can just start by maybe describing like that. The name of the table is what? Product lines. That one. So if I execute, what will happen? It will return for me the type of column it has, or this the entire table structure. So the field it has is product line, text description, HTML description, image, all this, right? And then we also have another one that you can use to count the number of rows. So to count the number of rows that you have, select count. Okay, this we learned last week. All from the name of the table is called product lines. Just want to see the number of record it has. So execute from the top. It has 7. This one will not help us, but let's just write the commands. So how did I say you create an index? To create an index, start by writing let's create an index on product line. So to create an index, create index. All right. The name of the index, you can just call it IDX product, like that. And then on has to be there. On which table are you trying to create the index on, right? And then product the name of the table, start, open a bracket, and then specify the column. Now this way specify the column. The column is product line. Close it like that. Now, if I execute this, we're going to see a column, an index here. Right now, you can see we only have primary. Please look at my cursor. Here's my cursor, right? The index that is here, it's only primary. If I execute this, allow me to comment this. If I execute this, create index IDX product on product lines table is the name of the table, and then the column. So if I execute, you get a green check. Okay, sorry. Now if I execute there, now create index that. So if we refresh, and there it is. Here is our index. So if I try to retrieve right now any record from this particular table, maybe select all from product lines like that. So we can just comment this because we are done with that. Let's run that. So if I run that, you see that, and then you see it had to scan what? Full table scan. Now let's try to see if we can be able to use the product line to reduce the number of query codes. Right now it's 0.95. Let's see now. Okay, select products. From product lines. Okay, let's see what will happen. Comment this because we don't need it anymore. Execute. Did it change? Let's find out. Okay, nothing to show. All right, so the reason why it's not showing anything is because it only has like 7 rows. Let me get a table that has a lot of record. Where can I get that? Now to get that, okay. Just watch what I'll do. I'll go to Kaggle and then get some new data set. I'll just search for sales data. Pick this one. This one has what? Okay, this one is good. Yeah, I'll download this one. The number of columns is 18. Apply all. And then download. I want one that has a lot of records. The ones that I have, it only has few. So I'll come and unzip it. So come back here. So we have our sales DB, right? Click on it once, then right click. Click here where it says table data import wizard, and then search for train CV. That is, it's train.csv, and then there. So I'll click next, and then I'll give this one as sales or example data table, and then next. So this is what we're going to get, the rows, and then it has all that data. So next, show logs, next, finish. So 145. So let me refresh, close that. Okay, so here is our example, the table that I've just retrieved. So here it has all this data. Let me see if it has any index. Good. This one doesn't have any index, right? Now let's start with this one. I'll create a new index. And then create index. The name of the index, I can create index on which column. Maybe you want to retrieve. Okay, before even retrieve, let's see how the queries are being performed. Select. select city, comma, the state from example. That's the name of the table. Where the state equals to California. We get all that. Now explain how many records are being scanned at the moment. Let's execute. Let's see, 145 rows are being scanned, okay? Now, if I add an index, okay, why is it not showing? Okay, I've tried it. I don't know why it's not rejected, but you can use the explain. So the explain and that works the same, but this one for magnifying glass has like a graphical interface that you can see how the data is being fetched. So let's create an index quickly. Create IDX state on example the state. Is it written like that? Yeah. So we're good on that one. We'll just comment that so that the server doesn't also execute that. I'm getting this error state. Okay, I don't know why we're getting this error. Column state used in key specification without a key. Okay, I just leave it at that. But what I want to say is, I don't know why it's not creating the index. So the index is used when you want to improve the query performance. So initially when I'm using the sales DB, going to the employees data, when I try to fetch, you saw that the query cost changed from 2.55 to maybe 2.27. That is what it means by improving the query cost. I try to figure out after this and see whether this index thing is failing. But for now, anyone who has a question on the index, you can just ask in the chat and then I'll respond. Yeah, if you have any question regarding, okay, what query cost? So remember, that time when I was using, don't know if it will accept. This is the one I mean, query cost. It's written here. The query cost went from 2.27 from 2.25. Initially, it was around 2.25. Don't know if I have that page. No. Okay, no. So when I created the index on this particular column, the query cost was improved such that when someone wants to search, okay, an employee with this name or this job title, the query that was being performed in the server took a less time than the initial amount of time it was taking. Initially, it was taking 2.55, but it went down to 2.27. That is what it means by reducing the query cost. Yeah, now I think we can create users. Let's just create users. Let's create users. Now, I said with users, Let's say, for example, you want to create a user that's called John, and then you want to give John maybe a certain password. So what you'll require to do, because right now we are signed in as log as the root user, and then the root user has all the permission, right? So you can write this to create a new user. You use or you write create user, and then the name of the user may be John, like that, at, right? And then localhost. So what is localhost? Localhost means your computer, okay? Or where this server is currently. It is in my computer. That's why I write here localhost. And then identified by identified by, and now you have to write the password. So I just like keeping my password short like that, and then terminate with a semicolon, or we can even break this and go to the second line. So create user John at localhost identified by that. So if I execute, okay, just see what will happen. Let's see, let's execute. We have that create user John, that, and then if I try to see all the user, so select user from MySQL.user, will I get this John that we've just created? Let's see. From comment that, treat that. There we have it, the list of users that I have. So we have Bob, John is here that you've just created. So you can see the user that I've just created is here, John, all right? So how do you see all the users that you have in your server? This is the one that you can use to list the users in your server. Now, this command. So select user from MySQL.user. All right. So select user from MySQL.user. Now to get the person that's using MySQL currently, you write this. I'll just comment this so that the server can ignore it. Get the current user. You write this, select current user. It's a function there. Execute. We see root at localhost. Now, the at also, you can say it's a host name. The host is your computer. If, for example, this database is somewhere else, maybe in the cloud, you'll need to write the IP of that server here. All right. Now, I want to sign in. I want to see if I can sign in with this user that I've just created called John using the terminal. So allow me to open the terminal, my favorite. Now I'll maximize. Just pay attention here now. MySQL -u John, right? -p. If I write 1, 2, 3, 4, will I get access? There, I mean. Have you all seen how I've signed in? You write MySQL -u John and then -p. Let's try to see if we try to, let's log in. Okay, There, I've logged out. And then I'll create a new connection. And then I'll call this maybe, when is today? Thursday. And then here, instead of root, I'll say John. And then store in vault, I'll write 1, 2, 3, that. Say okay, test connection first. Once you get this output, now you're ready. Say okay. Now you'll see the one that I've just created, Thursday. If I log in, there, as you can see, John does not have access to anything. If I log in, it's empty. I believe it's visible. Right now, John does not have any permission. Too quickly. Okay. I've said when you want to create a user, you create using that. If you want to log in the user that you just created, you click this plus sign here. MySQL connection here. And then just give it any random name, a name that comes to your mind. I'll give that, I'll write that. Then the host name, since it's your computer, you just leave it as 127.0.0.1. In networking, we call this the loopback address. Okay. Now the port is the 306. If you want to change the port, you can give it a try. But if it rejects, that means you have to go to your firewall and allow the port that you just created. For example, I change here to the 310. I'll need to go to the firewall and then allow the firewall to receive traffic in this port that I've written the 310. But now I'll just leave it as the 306. Now, once you click password, write the password of John. Everyone, I know you saw when I was writing, okay, this one is making a lot of noise. I'll cancel. This is the password of John. This one here, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you wrote the same and then you came back here trying to create a new connection, use the same password. So in vault is 1, 2, 3, 4. Say okay. And then connection name, just give it random name. The user or the username is John. And then test connection first. Once you get this, okay, say okay, and then click okay. So it is demo. Once you sign in, you see, you'll have no database listed there. Because right now you don't have any permission. It's the same thing as coming here to the terminal. If I try to say show databases, I only end up seeing informational schema and performance schema, which are the main configuration of the server. This one, you cannot do anything with them. What will happen if I try to create a sample database? Let's see. There, let's try to create database cells. What will happen? I'm likely to get an error. The error says access denied for user John at localhost to database cells. Reason being, we have not assigned John any permission. If I try to use to say maybe use cells DB, I get the error access denied for user John because John does not have any permission. So right now we need to give John permission to some certain database. To do that, since here I'm signed in as John, right? You can see here from the top. Just see where I'm hovering my mouse. Kindly pay attention. Demo Thursday. If I click local connection, cause initially when I was starting the MySQL Server Workbench, I had signed in as root. So I still have the connection here. I can always go back. If I want to go to John's connection, there's John connection. root connection, John connection. So if I go back here and then try to assign, open a new working area. Okay, there. So if I assign, so we have a lot of database. Let's see if we assign John the global permission, what will happen? Now, grant, we use grant. Why it's not writing? Oh, what's up with my SQL Workbench not responding? Just freeze. Just give it a minute. Okay, we can switch to this one if this one is, or let me sign out. Open it again. Okay, so this is where I was before my machine misbehaved. So I'll write grant, right? All global privilege. We have started with number one, which was global, right? On to assign global privilege, you write this to John at localhost. Now, I want to assign John permission such that he can access all these database that I have here. Currently, I have train booking, the Cs and the sales DB. Once I execute this, let's see what will happen. Execute, I get a green check, right? So grant all on. This is what we mean by global. So star sign, period, star sign means global. Now, if I log out and then exit, now sign in back again. Allow me to clear the screen. Sign in, 1, 2, 3, like that. Now, if I try to write this, show databases, what do I see? I see the sales DB and the train booking. Initially, we were not seeing them, right? Now, if I try to sign out again or to sign in, come back to this icon, the house icon, click it, and then try to maybe go to the Thursday. And then if I sign in, I end up seeing what? The Cs and the sales DB. Yeah, the reason why I like CLI, it's kind of easier. So this one, you have to switch between the session here and there and then to gateway. But with terminal, you just write the commands and then, by the way, let me tell you something. Once you go to deploy your database, this is how the database will look. So I will recommend you start practicing the CLI because the commands are the same. It's only that you'll not have the graphical user interface. The graphical things that you can see and click. Like I can click here, click here, click here. No. In production, the database looks like this. So I'll recommend you start practicing using the terminal. Let's create another user. I'm done with this. I'll comment. Create another user. Now, create user. The name of this user. Let me read some of the names. I'll call this user Warren. At localhost. Why? Because it's my computer. Okay. Identified by like that. That's the password. And then once execute, we'll have this user that you call Warren. So if I execute, let's see, please pay attention to what will happen in the action output, execute, and there we have our user. So let's see if we have this user. Has this user been created? So I can also use the terminal, by the way, to list the users. So let's try with this one. Okay, I can see my whole terminal. So I can write select user from MySQL.user. And there we have Warren. Warren is here. Have you all seen how to create a user called Warren? Now, I've listed all the users. Now, right now, Warren does not have any permission, such that if I log out and then try to sign in with Warren instead, show databases, I end up seeing the two only. If I try to sign in again using a new connection here, click the plus sign. I can just give it that. So in Vault is 1, 2, 3, 4. Say okay, change the name here to Warren. Just connection. 1, 2, 3, 4 again. Say okay. Once you get that, you're good to go. So we can sign in. As you can see, there are no databases. I believe that is clear. Now let's go to what we call database, the database privilege. Right now, we gave John, okay, the entire access to all our databases. But now we want to give Warren to access only the cells. So how do we write that? Come back to the root. And then while you're still on the root, I'll need to write a new one. So grant database privilege, like that. So I'll write grant all on the name of the database that I want to give access to is cells db, put a period, a star sign, okay, to the name of the user is that one, at localhost. I believe that is clear. So this is how you give database privilege. Now, what will happen if I execute this? Let's see. I get a green check, and then since we are signed in as Warren, so let's confirm. So I can see it's Warren, right? Let me sign out and then sign back in. Now, show databases. As you can see, this cells DB. So can they perform anything in the cells? So use cells DB. There it has changed. And then show tables. As you can see, we see the list of tables that we have. Account, example, offices, order detail. We can even select all from offices. And there we have it. So it's not that nice looking, but you get the point, right? So Warren has that privilege of accessing the entire database. They do not have access to any other database. As you can see, they can see the train booking. I also have another database called the train booking. Let's create another user. Go back to, I make sure I'm in there. I'll comment that, and then I'll create another user. Now, create user, call this user Damilola at local host identified by 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. But you can always write a complex password. I just prefer 1, 2, 3, 4 because to avoid the issue of I forgot the password. Yes, now if I execute, we get the user dummy, right? Now we want to give dummy the permission to access only one table. We can give her access to which table? Dummy, which table would you want to have access to? Damilola? Okay, not raise your hand, just type there, orders. Okay. Okay, orders. All right, so give access to orders. Now, since we've created Damilola, I'll comment dummy and then grant access to orders table. Now, to do that, it's simple, right? Grant, okay, and then all on the name of the database is called sales db dot the name of the table orders, or you can write it. There it is. To Damilola at local host. Like that. Once I execute, we get a green check. I don't know. Do we get a green check? Let me see. Oh yeah, there it is. Grant, yeah, here it is, right? Now let's try to sign in with the terminal and see whether dummy can access other table. So I'll exit out of that. And then here I'll replace with Damilola. So you can still use the same commands in your, why am I putting that? Now I've signed in. So here it is, it's MySQL. Yeah. Now, show databases. We see sales DB. So use sales DB database exchange, show tables. What do we see? It's only the orders. Hey, someone is saying they're lost. Okay. Maybe explain to me where you're lost and then I can repeat again. I'm too fast. I said, maybe note down the commands, not do what I'm doing, because this during the session it's hard to switch between the screen. I said, let's go back to the slides. Maybe you guys forgot the slides. Where is it? Let me see. Here. So what I've been trying to show you is we started with global privilege. We came to database privilege and then to table privilege. We've just finalized with what we call the table privilege. Yes, we can delete the user, Kenneth. We can delete the user. I'm going to show you how to delete the user. Now, we started with global privilege. And I said, I believe I haven't deleted the command. So this is what we call this is how you create a user. Create user that you can give it any name, and then you identify with a password. This is the password you'll be using to sign in. You can even write any complex password. It doesn't have to be 1, 2, 3, 4. As long as you remember the password, you can write anything. And then once you execute, this user will be created in your server. Now, this user does not have permission to do anything. We want to give them what we call privilege. How do we give them privilege to access anything within this server? Now, I said there are 3 types of privilege. There's global, there's database, and then this table. This is how you write. For example, we want to just give them, to give this user, we want to give this user called Warren access to access all these database that we have here. We'll have to write this grant all on that, this is called a star sign, right? And then period, close it with a star sign, to John or Warren at localhost. Then you terminate. Once you click this user will have the permission to do anything within the server. Whatever the root can do, they can also do it. And then we said, how do you give access to a database, only one particular database? As I said, I have a list of databases here. I have the SIS, the trade booking, and the sales DB. How do you give this user access to only one database? It's like giving access to one app, only one app in your computer. Let's say maybe you want, okay, let's say maybe your brother or sister has a child, and then we want the child to only have access to YouTube, not Instagram or TikTok, only YouTube. This is what we are trying to do the same here. We only want this user to access this database, only one database. Only one database. Okay, this is how you grant them permission. So you start by writing grant all on the name of the database is that. You put a period with a star sign, and then to Warren at localhost. Why? Because this user exists in my computer. If it was somewhere else, maybe this is your computer, right? I'll ask you for maybe your IP, maybe 192 or let's say 172.0.3. Like that. Meaning maybe this is someone else's computer, not yours. But if it is yours, you write localhost in small though, not capital, localhost. Like that. Grant all on sales DB to Warren at localhost, because the server is installed where? Where is MySQL installed? It's in my computer. That's why we're giving this user called Warren access to this database only. This one. Only one database. That's the only database they can access. And then I said, let's say we have another user. Let's call the user Damilola. Dami, we have so many tables, but we only want to give Damilola access to only one table. How will we do it? We start by writing grant all, meaning they can do select, they can do update, they can do delete. 2, the name of the database is SalesDB. The name of the table, you can even change with the payments. Okay, give it any table, try with any table. 2, the user that you just created at host name. The host name is what? Your computer. You can even touch your computer. It's your computer. If it was someone else's computer, you write their what? Their IP there. And then when you log into that, your friend's computer, you see the password. I mean the user, not the password. Hey, the user called Damilola. Then like that. So that's how you can create the user. And then let's see how you can drop the user. Oh, by the way, before I even go on that, come here to the administration. We have another way. If you don't like writing the commands, just come, if you have this, okay? And you feel tired and you don't want to write the commands, you come to the administration part. Believe everyone has access to the administration. Just pay attention, don't write. Now, just look at what I'll do. And then click where it says users and privilege. There. Okay, this which user is this one now? Let me go back to the root. Okay, 1 minute. Using password, yes. Okay, let me close the entire that. Refresh, come back here. There. So another alternative, you can just, when you get that kind of error, just try to log out and then log back in. Just to tell the server that you've logged in at the current as root. Now, once you click this users and privilege, you'll see users and privilege, and then your name will be here, root. So you can see Damilola is here, Bob, John, where is Warren? Warren is here. So let's see account limits. Okay, this way advanced part. What I can tell you is here you can set the number of concurrent connection that is allowed for Warren. Also the number of maximum connection Warren can try to initiate to this particular server. Come here to the administrative roles. So you can see Warren at the moment does not have any permission. But when you come to the schemas, because we had given Warren permission to only access just one database called the self, and it's here. You can see the privilege that he has is alter, routine, create, routine, create temporary, all these. He can select, he can insert, he can update, he can delete, he can create an index, he can create temporary tables, all that. Now, if you go to Damilola, let's see what Damilola, the privilege that Dami has. Dami does not have any privilege to the schemas, but they only have privilege to what? The table. Okay, so the table does not list here because the here it's written was what? Schemas. So if you go inside the schema, that's when you get the table that Dami has the privilege to. Now let's go to which user had we created before, John. So let's create John. Remember, I gave him what? Global permission, right? Now you can see he can do what? Maintain, admin, he can process admin, he can
Let's just give Zablon a few minutes. I think he's experiencing some internet issues. So whilst we are there, please just let us know how is the session going so far. You can give us some thumbs up, some reactions. How was the weekend? Is everybody feeling good? All right. Okay, databasing. All right, interesting. Interesting. How are weekends always short? I mean, if you are from Kenya or across the world, I think most of us had a free Monday. The Monday was religious. Hey, people are disagreeing. People are disagreeing. This is crazy. All right. Yeah, no, definitely. I am from South Africa, so I'm all the way in South Africa. Um, this is where I am, but I do have um some families across Africa. You know, some are in Nairobi, some are in Nigeria, some are in Zimbabwe, some are in Kenya, some are in Zambia, some, you know, international. Hey, the questions you are asking. The questions you're asking. So let's just someone's asking how many wives do you have? Hey, that's personal. That's personal. Yes, I'm your neighbor. I am your neighbor. Some music. All right. So, yes, I don't want to jump right in, but I think we can definitely do with some refresh break. This is the time when you just try out a few items on your code, so that at least it gives you some time to refresh on what was covered so far. So I'm just gonna give us some few gems. I'm giving us some free gems. This is the time to zip some coffee, as instructor check-in always says. So zip some coffee. Okay, so we have some song recommendations. So I am an underground DJ. It's a talent that I've never told people about, but I've never pursued it. So when you see me doing my thing on these live sessions, don't be surprised. But let's go. I can play you Asibe Happy. These are one of the legendary songs that we have in the Amapiano industry. So here we go. Just let me know if you can hear it. I think it should be very visible now. Okay. People always ask for my mixtape.
Siyathandana bazamile usohlukanisa bohluleka abaphansi bavumile ukuba sifanelene thina sobabini masikunye ngiyajabula jabula sonwabile siyathandana bazamile usohlukanisa uhluleka abaphansi bavumile ukuba sifanelene thina sobabini masikunye ngiyajabula jabula
Gerard? Gerard? Yeah, Gerard, thank you. I'm
Ah,
back. Yeah,
awesome.
small
Let's give
technical hitch.
a round of applause for bracing us with his presence. No, it's not easy. Technical issues, it happens. But yes, over to you, Zablon.
All right, thank you. So yeah, let me share my slides. Where were we? All right, here we are, right? So we were checking on who this guy, John. So yeah, before I explained some internet challenges, we are checking on John, and then we saw that John had what? All these administrative, like permission, can do maintenance, all this, right? So yeah, this is how you can use this side of the administration to see the privilege that a user has. Also, you can just click here to add a new user. Maybe the new user can call the new user. I'm trying to think. All right, just let me use the name. And then here you change, you say localhost, like that. And then the password also 1234. I know you'll get an error that's saying that's a weak password, just ignore it for now. But once you're good, you can always write complex password. And then once I create, so we are good on that, apply, we see the user's upload here. But right now that user does not have anything. That's how you can add and yeah. The other, so to add, I said you click here, there's a button here that says add account, okay? And then once you click that, you'll see this new, this menu. The user can call out Jane, and then here you change, you say local host because it's your computer, password 1234, but you can write a complex password as long as you remember, and then apply like that. So we can see Jane, there she is. Now, how do you delete a user? To delete a user, while you're using here, just delete and then delete. Here, when using the administration side or the workbench, does not have a lot of things to write. You just click the user that you want to delete and then delete. Okay, delete, 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 delete. Okay, just be careful. Don't delete the root. Delete, delete. Now, let's see how we can write a command to to delete a user, right? Okay, did I remain with any users? Okay, I remained with John. Now, let's see if how to delete a user John that you call John. So to delete, we simply write drop user, right? And then we say John at localhost, like that. Once you execute, you get that. Now let's come back to the administration side. Try to see, does John even exist? Refresh. Okay, I'll close it to refresh it properly. Okay, open it again. There, so as you can see, we don't see the user John. John has disappeared. So the command to delete a user is simple. Just use drop user John at localhost. So another alternative, you're using the SQL Workbench. Just come to the user, you click on the user once, and then click this button, delete. Hi, let's go to ways of revoking a user, revoking permission given to a user. But before, let's create roles because of time quickly, and then we touch on roles as we finalize. So how do you create roles? So I'm gonna create new roles. So to create roles, we simply write create, all right? And then role like that. So I'll create roles for devs. I can create one for clients and another one for the admin. Admins, like that. So that's how you create a role. If I execute, we get a green check here that creates roles that devs, clients, and admins. Now, how do we assign permission to these roles? Now, to grant permission to them, we simply create new users first, okay? Create users, and then these users that I'll create, I'll assign them to either the dev role, the client's role, or the admin's role. You can change this role to any name that you prefer. It doesn't have to be the ones that have, it doesn't have to be how I've named mine. You can try with receptionist, plumber, electrician, anyone. And then create a new user, create user, okay? How did we say create user? This is how you create a user. And then this user now, okay, let me just see your names. Today I'm running out of names. Yeah. Eliud. Create user Eliud at localhost, then identified by one, two, three, four. So if I execute, this user will be created. I want to create multiple users and then execute all at once. And then we can decide where to have this user go to. Okay, that's enough. So this one, let me check your names. Purity. Another one. Abdi Hakim. Edna. And then I believe that's all, right? Now, these are the users that I want. How many are they? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have that. Let's add 2 more so that we send 2 users here, 2 users here, and 2 users here. Since the password is the same, I don't need to keep on changing the password, but you can always change the password. Alex. And then finally, Nora. Like that, right? Now, if I execute, all these users will be created. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 2 will go here. Maybe the first 2, we can say these are our devs who are going to work on the train booking database. And then these other ones, they're going to go where? To the clients. And then the last 2, they'll be our admin. Now, we have that. Now, how do we assign roles? Assign permission. So if I execute, all these users will be created. But since you had already created the role, just comment this so that you don't get an error that these roles already exist or duplicates. So if I
Zablon,
execute, yes, I'm too
please
fast.
check the chat.
Check. All right.
The chat.
All right. Remove. There are 2 eludes. Where's the other elude? Oh, okay.
The first one and the fifth one.
All right. So let me see. Who was the first one to point that out? Amos. Okay. Amos Wako. All right. There. So we have user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4, user. Hey, they're supposed to be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's add another one. Let me see. Who's the second person now? Muna. Muna Aden. Aden Muna. All right, there's Muna Aden. So if I execute, I believe these users are now 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. So we execute. Fingers crossed. Okay, not fingers crossed. I'm sure it will work. Yeah, there we have it. So these are all users. We have Edna, Alex, Nora, Aden, Muna, Eliud, and which other one? Purity. So since we've already created this, there's no point of executing them again. So I'll comment it. Okay. And then go to the next line. Now, how do we assign privilege or assign permission? So we use what? The grant command. So write grant, right? All on, we have our train booking here, train booking database. So I'll just write train booking db dot that, because it's the entire database. I want to give it to who? To the devs. Like that. So I'll copy this and then create the other roles. So here for the clients, instead of clients, like that, instead of grant all, I'll grant what you call select. Like that. And then to the admins, I'll grant what you call insert, right? Comma, update, comma. Do you see how the data manipulation keeps repeating itself? Update, delete they can be able to delete anyone from the train booking. And the other thing is maybe I can grant them select also, like that. Another shorter way I've seen people doing is instead of repeating the word select here, you just write clients here. So they'll have the permission to just read, okay? Because that role is called client. So the clients have permission. So if you add client here instead of writing select, they'll also have the select permission. So to select is just to read. To the devs, they can do anything. They can delete the entire database. These other ones, the admins can insert new records, can update, can delete, can select, can do anything. But the devs can delete the entire table. Okay, if you add as a dev, please never delete the entire table for users, because recovering it is hard unless you have a backup, which we learned in the ACID properties. Durability, always create backup. So if I execute from here, we get, okay, it hasn't executed. There we have it, grant there. So that's how you grant all to devs, grant to that, to clients, only select. So, and then how do we now assign users to these roles? We've given the roles permission. Now, let's add the users now. To roles. Go to the next line. It's simple. You write this, grant clients to, let's start with Muna. To Muna at localhost. So I'll copy another one here. Who was the other one? To only read. Amos. And then the other one is grant devs. So who would like to be the devs? To, let me see. Purity. Not Purity. Eliud. Okay. Both Eliud and Purity. I saw Eliud complaining in the charts. At localhost. Purity. And then is the devs. And then Edna will be admin. So here just change to Edna admins. And then the other one is who? Abdi Hakim. Yeah, I've started knowing some of you. Abdi Hakim. Yes, that way. So if I execute, let's see what will happen. Okay, execute, and then we get error. It says grants clients to Muna as what? Unknown authorization to at localhost. Let me see, where did I make mistake? Okay, let's see. Let's see, let's try to debug.
Zaplon
Hmm?
said you should use Aiden. Aiden is
It's more?
Aiden Muna.
I change her name to Eden.
Yes.
Okay, to do that, Muna, I'll need to alter user. Remember the alter command? Now, how do we write that? To do that, I'll need to, or we can drop the user and then create a new one. Okay, drop.
Zablon, please scroll
Hmm?
up to the top.
To the top. Where? Here. Eden. Oh,
Yes.
okay. I don't even remember that. I think it's because I know her names. That's why I'm using Muna.
Ah.
All right, no problem. Let's try change. Okay. Instead of altering, let's execute. Okay, yeah, we get. Thank you so much for that. Now we have clans to Amos. We have the clans to Aden, and then to Amos, to Eliud, to that. Now, since we've logged in, Muna has which, okay, Aden has which role? Aden is here, right? Aden is clients. Let's see if Aden can delete our table. So I'll log out, sign in as Eden. The password is still the same, right? So it's Eden. There, I've logged in. Now, you show databases. It's what? You can only see the information schemas and that. So that means they can only read. They can't do anything else. If I try to write, use the train booking DB. They get what? Access denied to adding at localhost to database. Now, exit. What if I sign in as the client? As the clients, not the client. Clients. They can't do anything. They also get access denied for users, clients, and that because the clients can only read. They can't do anything. But with the devs can do a lot of things because we had given them the permission using the roles. So if I sign in as the devs, let's see, as who was a dev now? Eliud. Wait. Did I make a mistake when? Give me a minute, guys. Let me see if I made a mistake because we should see the train booking. DB. Grant all on train booking to devs. Yeah, I give the devs. Okay, why can't I see the database? Okay, let's see. Show grants for Eliud at localhost using devs. Oh, there. So as you can see, grant usage on allude to localhost grant all privilege on train book to allude. So as you can see, we are able to see the permission, but I don't understand why we are not able to fetch. Anyone who has an idea? No, Brian, if I give them the star dot star, it means I'll give them an entire access to the entire DB that I have. Also, we can show grants. Let's see. So using the admins. Select command deny to user elude. Okay. Exit, and then let's try to sign in with any other. I'm trying to figure out why we can't see. Let's see. Can we sign in with the devs? Okay, not possible. Still no. Why? Let's come back here. Users and privileges. You also can see the roles. Trying to debug grant clients to. Did we assign grant all to? Yeah, so the grant was okay. Grant all on train booking dot that to devs, grant select on train booking to plans, grant insert, update, delete, select on train booking to admins. This one is perfectly fine. Okay, I'll come back to that. Just allow me to research why the roles are not able to sign in and then be able to select things from the database. I'll research on that and then come back to you and then maybe write for you a small PDF on how to do this all at once. But this is how you're supposed to create roles and then assign only privileged roles to certain database permission and then assign roles to users. Like for example, you start by creating users, you create roles and then you create the users. And then those users, you assign them maybe the insert, the update, the delete, only that. Yeah. So unless there's a question, maybe I can read some of your question in the chat. Can I grant using the workbench? Yes, I can grant using the workbench, but now, let me see. I'll close this and then open a new one. Okay, yeah, so here are the users. Now I see where I made the mistake. So the mistake was dash, there's a percentage sign. So I can see instead I was supposed to create the admins to my host. So when you see the percentage sign, it means they do not have access to this computer. So if I change to the admins, then we try again, localhost. Let's see if it will accept. It's forbidden, so I can't. Maybe I'll try again. But before I even try that, so we can see all the users that we had created before. Why is it not refreshing? Oh, there. So the devs are here, the clients, and also the admin. We have all the users that we've just created, like Purity, Nora, Amos, also Alex. Yeah, so that's all about creating and granting, all right? So what if you want to delete their permission or remove their permission? We'll use what? Revoke. And how do you write revoke? So to write revoke, it's simple. You just need to write revoke all. And let me come back to my slides. So we touch on that. To revoke was here. So revoke statement revokes one or more privilege using that. So to revoke, we simply write this. So to revoke, allow me to comment this. Now to revoke, you write revoke all grants grant option, and then from you look for a user, and then let's say we have which user now. Let's go with, I want a user that has permission, at least some permission, like Charles. Okay, yeah, Charles has some permission. Okay, let's delete Charles' permission. That was high. Okay, I'll just write a new one. Book all grant option from Charles at localhost, like that. So once I execute this, we'll get a green check. Let's see. And then that's how we confirm. Let's come here. We see if Charles still has the permission. Okay, where's Charles? Charles is here. Go to the administrative. So we can see all the checkboxes have disappeared. Yeah, so that is it about creating the revoke, and then the revoke, the grant, and assigning roles. So kindly, if you allow me to research on why the roles are not working, and then in the afternoon class, I'll give you like a concrete reason why it was not working at the time. But meanwhile, if you have all the basics that I've shown you on how to create and then assign roles, you're good to go. So yeah, with that, I'd like to stop the recording so that I can take the Q&A. I know you have a lot of questions. Oh, but before, meanwhile, as I take in the Q&A, so we can, let me send it to the GitHub. So the guys who had signed the train booking managed to complete. So these are the contributors who worked on the train booking. We have Stanley, Abdidemi, Chege, Felix, Kanti, Mariposa, Tabitha, and Priscilla. Congratulations to you guys. I confirmed the database is working perfectly. So you can always try and you can always come and copy this entire database and then try to create and then see how it will work. So if they are here, maybe they can raise their hand, maybe tell us how the experience was when participating to this, and then I'll release a new one. So this is the project management thing I was using to manage them. We call it the Kanban. So you can always use this if you're using, if you have your own open source to manage people. So as I allow them to maybe say something, allow me to stop the recording, and then